But we can read a whole lot of books, but the hardest person ever going to be to lead is ourselves. Can I lead myself to eat, make a better choice with eating? Can I lead myself to go to the gym? And can I lead myself to read this or read that? Can I lead myself to grow spiritually? You see what I'm saying? So when you say future leaders, even the name of this podcast, some of us, if we're looking at this, we should see ourselves as a leader.
Exactly. Welcome to another edition of Future Leaders Podcast, where we interview and talk to some great people who have great experience in great leadership and also making a difference in the lives of others. So today we have a great special guest here today. His name is Mr. Corey Muhammad. He has played so much of an instrumental role in my life. Actually, one of my first mentor. And so we're looking forward to speaking with him and definitely go down the journey of his life, but also hope it's something that you hear that's going to be and powerful, that's going to inspire you as well as impact your life. So today I want to introduce Mr. Corey Muhammad. Corey, glad to have you here, man.
Oh, man, glad to be here, bro. Glad to be here.
Well, definitely, man. If you wouldn't mind, just tell the people a little bit about who is Corey Muhammad.
Yeah, well, Corey Muhammad, I'm a native Charlottean. Charlotte, some watching this may know that it's a very transient city. It's one of the top cities right now in the U.S. that people are moving in and out of. So a lot of times when I'm meeting people in Charlotte, they're from somewhere else. Yeah. You know, whether it's the West Coast, whether it's up in the Northeast New York or what have you. But I'm actually a native Charlottean. Wow. So grew up in the school system there, you know, all of that. Okay. Have two beautiful children. Okay. And then remarried shortly ago and now have additional children with that. So my wife and I going on 6 years. Wow. This will be our 6-year anniversary this coming up year. But when it boils down to it, man, I'm just a brother that, like so many others, man, on the quest to better myself and continue to get better and continue to help others along the way. Man,
well, I just want to thank you again, man. Like I say, there's so much I know we can talk about. We'll probably be here for some hours. But I wanted to say, man, for y'all just don't know, but Corey has not only my life, but made a major difference in so many others' lives. And so if we can, let's go back before we get to where we want to get to. Just tell me a little bit about back in the day. What kind of kid was Corey? Was you a model kid, or were you one of the ones who had some challenges? But tell me a little bit about your journey.
As a child, you know, there's that part of the scripture says, "Spare the rod for the child." So although I don't want to get the impression I just was bad, because that wasn't the case, but I had my share of being mischievous, had my share of not having the rod spoiled. If you get what I'm saying. So I had my share of whoopings, you know, from doing little things. But most of all, I was inquisitive child. I like to kind of study, but at the same time, I like to play jokes and things too, man. Was always been loving like. As a matter of fact, one of the things I wanted to do, I remember early on as a child, one of the things I wanted to be was a doctor early on. Wow. But now that I look back at it, it wasn't necessarily a doctor in that sense, because doctors heal, and that's one of the things I feel like I've been blessed by the grace of God to be able to do, you know, just be in that field that helps people become better and get better.
Wow, good. So you don't just heal the body, you heal the mind, kind of work in that space.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when I started on this journey, and I'll just kind of share this too, a lot of young black males like myself that may not have a father figure in the home all the time. I'm one of the ones that fit in that category. But when I was in my early teens, you know, I ended up hearing the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and from hearing him, he became like a father to me, along with other things we'll talk about in terms of development and growth. But he early on kind of became like a father to me, even though he may not have known it, but through the tapes, through the messages, you know, it kind of gave me that extra male presence that you needed to hear in terms of teaching you, directing you, helping you with certain traits and characteristics. So that's a little about me, you know, but again, kind of child. It's pretty good most of the time, but did like to do some pranks, a little mischievous here and there.
Awesome. So were you in a single parent home?
Yeah, well, I did have a stepfather for a while. I was in a single parent home. I had a stepfather earlier on, but again, the stepfather, Good guy, but it wasn't really necessarily a father figure.
Okay.
It was a stepfather in the home.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Up to a certain point, then that changed.
Okay. Reason why I always go back to your past to kind of say, because even for me, I grew up with knowing my dad. Dad played a part in my life. Early on, I can truly say wasn't the best influence to me, but some of the things I learned from him still plays factor to today, and even some of the things that I can say wasn't always positive, but it plays a part even now.
Yes.
And so that's why I always want to go back to your past in order to know how does it, like you're saying, have that same drive as a doctor, how it plays out even to today. And so with that, when did you see and start, I guess what you said, once you get introduced to Minister Farrakhan, it introduced you to, more personal development and things like that. So once you started that journey, when you decided, okay, I want to go into business, what was the turning factor or something that kind of let you know that I see myself want to expand, want to develop in this field? What was the turning point for you?
Well, having a work ethic, I can say this, I always had a good work ethic.
Okay.
At 12 years old, I had a paper route.
Okay.
Matter of fact, at one point, I got to the point when I had the paper route, but I had a couple of my friends and I would have them throwing the paper route for me.
Okay.
And so I would pay them a little something from that. Now, unfortunately, it got to the point where they wasn't throwing them anymore, but I didn't know that. They was throwing the papers away, and I ended up getting fired for my little paper route that I had. But I started that first job at 12, then I got a job when I was, that took me all the way to about 14. I had a job doing that. So been working since 12, but I say that because, again, it was a work ethic that was there. And then I had gotten married to my children's mother at a very young age.
Okay.
And what brought me to the point you're asking about business, unfortunately, we didn't end up staying together. But I remember there was a play that my child had, and I can't remember the age she was at the time. She may have been 6.
Okay.
And she had a play at school, and I wanted to go see the play. So here I was, a grown man, had to ask my boss, another grown person, can I get time off to go see my child? Not only did I not like the way that made me feel, but then they said no on top of that. So that became that in my mind, that kind of planted a seed that I wanted to find something else to do. And then Ben, that I mentioned earlier, listening to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we've always been taught, how to do for self or for the consequences. I just didn't know what it was I was going to do. I tried the window cleaning business one time. I wasn't really good at that. I had like a water distributorship. I lost money on that. But the desire was always there. The desire was there, not just for the money. The desire was there to just become the best me I could be, and to prove to myself that I could do something more than just being stuck in the job situation I was in at the time. I was living check to check. I wanted more than what I had. Wanted to get the children more than what I had. I also wanted to be the kind of son that could be, there for my mom. Because I know at some point she would get old, so I wanted to be in position to be different things. So that's what kind of led me down the road. And good thing, friends, associations. I was with one of my friends that introduced me to business, and that's pretty much what started the road in my business now, and what I've been blessed to be able to do.
Okay, awesome. I want to kind of dive into that direction because I met you through a company that really I always think of it like you introduced me always to the Matrix, the blue pill, the red pill. So you basically from what I early on was thinking, hustle in the street. Not saying I was doing anything always bad, but I was hustling clothes and just doing little things. It was always a hustle mentality, but when I met you, you was a sharp brother. I was like, man, something about you that kind of stood out to me. So I reached out to you, I think the following day or so, and you introduced me to a business. So with that, I want to kind of just dive in. Tell me a little bit about your journey when you started into, I guess, the arena of network marketing. How did that come about, and then how did you develop in that space?
Well, it first started, I used to work for a retail store.
Okay.
I was in retail management, but I was more of a supervisor. And I remember that I was working, doing stocking some shelves, whatever, and this guy came to me and said, hey, man, you look pretty sharp, and I didn't realize he was talking to me about a business.
Okay.
Now, this is before I ever got into the business. I mean, this was probably 4 or 5 years before that.
Okay.
And so I ended up, he put me on the phone with someone else, and I said the same thing. I said, man, I was a sharp cat, just finished talking to me. So he put me on the phone with someone that was out of Atlanta, and I ended up attending a meeting. Now, again, this is 4 years before I ever did anything in the business that I eventually went with. But I went out to that meeting. I liked what I saw. I liked the positive environment. I just ain't had a $495 that it was to get started with that. So the seed was planted then. A little bit later on down the road, some 4.5 years later, whatever the time frame was, I don't remember exactly. But one of my good friends, who I go far back with, he's a graduate at JCSU. He also was a person that was involved in the company that I'm a part of now. He invited me out to a meeting, and that seed had already been planted, and I realized I wanted more. I mean, I realized that, because I was the type at one time I had 2 jobs, even had 3 jobs at one point. And I learned a long time ago, 2 jobs made for 2 people. 3 jobs definitely made for 3 people. And I wanted something different than just making all my income depend on me. And I got involved in an environment that also taught the same thing, associations that taught the same thing. And so I wanted a method, an idea, something that could let me be able to leverage myself, use leverage, be able to become better, earn more, even create residual income. And then I found it, but it's a good thing not only did I find it, but I found positive associations with it too that made the journey a little easier, because a lot of times we become a reflection of whatever our environment is.
Exactly.
We say to the children, we say when we're talking with children in our mind, we know that children be what they see. And so it's the same thing for adults. We get in the right environments, we get in those positive environments, and those positive associations, man, have a positive outcome to them.
Yes. Well, I definitely agree with you 100%. And so once you got involved into the business, what was your journey? Because even for me, I know you when you brought me into the business with the company, of course, at the time was Prepaid Legal Services. And we go back from the late 90s. So about 98, 99 is when we got introduced. So it's been quite a few minutes. And for the first couple of years, I think I was in my early 20s, me going to an older person trying to tell them about some legal insurance wasn't very successful off the bat. So, but you showed me it takes a development. It takes time. So I think it might have been 2 years before I really started having any success, but I stayed coming. I stayed in the fire. I stayed around you, kept listening to you and following your guide. And so I know my journey took a little while, but how was your first journey or first days involved into whatever company you was in? How was your beginning?
Well, it sounds good to say, oh, I got right in and everything just well. No, that wasn't quite the case. But again, I want to back up just a little bit. What led me to see, I'm a firm believer that people that want to succeed got to have desire. And you showed that you had desire. I had desire. I wanted something different than what I currently had. I was willing to go to work. These are 3 traits I like to look for in people. I was willing to go to work. I didn't mind work. I'd always done work. So if I'd always done work, there was linear work, meaning I could just get paid for what I did.
Exactly.
And then on top of that, the other trait I'd like to look for is being coachable, being able to follow something that someone can share with you. Not that you want a boss, but being coachable.
Yes.
And so for me, what happened was, because I had those 3 traits, and those 3 traits was really driven by that desire, that wanting something different than what I currently had, I got immersed in working on becoming better myself, studying me, working on better. So I didn't just come in and tear it up. Matter of fact, the first 6 months I might have made $1,400.
Okay.
The following next year after that, I think I made like $19,000. So it wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't just great. Because I actually made less than I was making on my job.
Yeah.
But then something happened as I got better, and just the nature of how this business works when you are using leverage. Then I made like over 3 times that the following year, and then from there just got better and got better and got better. But the main point I want to drive home is, I teach this. We build people, and people build whatever business it is. I don't care if it's network marketing, if it's any other business. If we build ourselves, then that allows us to be able to go build and do other things.
Exactly. And I can truly say a lot of the things I've learned through my relationship with you, for introduced me to personal development, listen to Drive Time University. Back in the day, we used to have cassette tapes. So that's how far it goes back. So every time you drive it, you want to be listening to something. So from the gym rooms to you name it. So we've learned to listen to a lot, and I still do that even now while I'm working.
Me too.
And wherever I'm at, man, I'm always listening to books and things like that, working on becoming that what I want to obtain by listening to others. So definitely that plays a major part. But I do want to talk on something, because I talk about this still to this day: checkerboard management. I got that from you, and I think that's something that I've learned, especially in my 40s. The word no is a whole sentence, and I'm okay with you know is no, but that what I really got from checkerboard management. I make a move, then you make a move. So I want you to kind of elaborate, because I think that's going to really help so many people when they understand you can't do it for others, but you can help them. But checkerboard management, it plays a major part.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a training that I've done, and one of that training is, it's 4 things that help detract people in the business that I'm in the industry, network marketing, but I think in businesses, period. But definitely in the industry I'm in, and these 4 things, one of them being rejection. People just don't like rejection. And whatever business you're going to be in, you're going to probably get some rejection. And if we go to the doggone restaurant and get some fries or whatever it is a person may eat, but if the waitress say, you want some ketchup with that, we might say, no, I'm good. I don't want that. So they ain't going to, oh, God, they just rejected me. Or if you go to the store, retail store, you want to buy some clothes, person say, can I help you? No, I'm just looking. Well, that salesperson ain't going to fall on the ground and say, oh, God, they reject me. So that's just going to be a part of the deal, depending how we look at it. And then there's deception. People are going to tell you things they're going to do and they ain't going to do it sometimes. That's just the way it is. But then the third one I was going to touch on is apathy. Well, let me say the 4th one first. The 4th one is attrition. People going to quit different things. That's why you may have some things you started. I know you have other business that you involved in. You have a hard time finding good people. People start stuff, people quit. There's a Planet Fitness around the corner. I bet you if you ask how many people they done started and quit, you will not both will be surprised. But that third one I was going to talk about is apathy. And that's the fact that, some people are a little apathetic. They kind of lost their dreams. And sometimes, not just in business, but sometimes we want something more for people than they want for themselves.
Good.
So I was introduced to that same philosophy. And that's a little small bit of a twist, because in checkers, you can sometimes move and another person can move, and depending on how they do, they can actually make more than one move.
Yeah.
But in chess, I make a move. You make a move. In other words, I don't make 2 moves in a row. In chess, you're only allowed to make 1 move at a time. And so if I am learning that, this helps me not do more for something or someone than they want done for themselves. And it was that philosophy, I believe in it, was used on me. I mean, I want to see who I'm working with. I want to help them, want to get better. However, I know that if I do too much without them coming in with that same level of commitment, then at the end, one of us going to be frustrated. It's probably going to be me.
Oh, yeah.
So not only do I subscribe to that, I do something, you do something when I'm working with someone else, but I've got mentors too. I'm still a student. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still striving to become better, the best version of myself. And so I got mentors that do the same thing with me right now today. They do chess manager with me. All right, Corey, I did this. Now what's your move? You see what I'm saying? So what I'm using, I've actually learned from others, and I just use the same thing.
Wow, good stuff.
Yes.
Good stuff. Well, like I say, definitely that's something even to this day I still apply, and whether I'm mentoring or, even in dealing with your kids, I think that's something that still carries forth. And but with that, let me ask you this: what type of learning, kind of studying are you doing right now in your study time? I know you may be reading certain books. I don't think that's as much as needed to what you are reading, but what's something I think that you are learning, a style of learning that's very much helpful? If I had to say, what's one thing that I could gain, whether if it's through your time of getting up or strategy, or how do you go about setting your...
I'm glad you asked that, because routine is so important. Having a routine, having some type of routine, something that you're doing, it gives yourself enough time when you consistently do something to get better. So I don't mind. I mean, there's a lot of books out here, as we all know. There's a lot of different books. So what I would suggest, depending on whoever's looking at this, some people have different spiritual beliefs, but most of these success books we read, the principles are found in the Bible. As a Muslim, I read the Bible, also read the Quran. So a lot of these success principles that are found that people are using in books, they come from scripture. So some of the things that I'm reading, that has helped me is a classic, Think and Grow Rich, because everything starts. What did the master say? As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
Yeah.
So when you start looking at things like Think and Grow Rich, now again, being a student, we have a whole study course that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan developed called Self-Improvement, the basis for community development. It's 21 different study guides. One of them being, first one being mixed feelings and controversy, because a lot of our youth dealing with mixed feelings, dealing with controversy. A second one is building human potential.
Okay.
What's inside of every one of us, the viewers that's looking at this, some of us that's looking at this, we want more than what we have right now.
Okay.
But we got the potential to be able to get that and then some.
Yeah.
But are we going to put ourselves on a path? So you mentioned something, the routine that I strive to stick by is making sure I got at least 10 pages or so of a good book that I'm reading. Now me, I like to make sure I'm reading something spiritual, something scripture wise, and I also deal things that deal with my craft.
Yeah.
Or at the age I'm at now, my health is important.
Okay.
So I might be reading, different things that's helping me grow from a health standpoint. My wife is into a lot of health. She's a coach in a certain aspect of health, the health industry. So again, it helps me to just make sure that I'm listening to something positive, reading something positive. And I got a certain routine, certain things I like to do in the morning before I really get my day going.
Okay.
And some of that's going to be not only involving spiritual time, devotion, but it's going to be involved what you're reading. What am I, the exercise time I'm getting, and having some type of routine, because motion is medicine.
Yes.
A lot of folks just not moving around enough. So to answer your question, what kind of routine? First question I ask myself is, do I have one? And if I don't have one, can I get one? Where can I find out one more about?
Yes.
And we can go online. You can even look up online, go on YouTube or whatever, and say, hey, how do I start a routine? But it just depends. That's going to be different for different people. But a routine, by nature of the word, it means something that's being constantly done.
Yeah.
And if we keep working on something, we get better. The more we do it, the more we do it, the more we do it. So that's part of my routine. Part of every day consists of some type of personal spiritual development.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That always makes me think consistency. If you want to get somewhere, it doesn't require you to have to get there all right away. It's by you staying consistent and know the goal what you're aiming for. And I know something today I heard was about destiny. If you are striving for your destiny, it's about first knowing what it is, but at the same time, you're just doing progressive through thought, and then through the words that you're speaking to yourself, and then the actions that you take is a major play in order to get to that destiny that you're aiming for. And so knowing now that's your routine, let me ask you this: what do you see yourself building towards? What is the next level or the next steps for you in down the road for you, whether it is to see yourself in retirement or legacy, whatever? Let me ask you. So
much work to be done still. I don't see myself retiring anytime soon. Now, it don't mean your focus may shift, but my teacher, my minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, just turned 90, and he's still focused on spreading truth to the masses of black and brown people and any oppressed people. He's still focused on that job, still roaring with courage on that. Now, you may have different things you may retire from that you may not do quite the same, but now I don't see retirement in there. Working on helping as many as I can. I'm a grandfather now too, so I got certain legacies I want to lead in that area. But even if it's not a biological, it's certain things I want to live by that, pay it forward.
Yes.
I want to live by being able to deposit in others that which is being deposited in me. I'm not there yet myself. Now, I've been blessed on the business end to do some things, but that's relative depending on what a person's looking at. Because of the desire I had, I've been, 25 years with the same company, and 24 that's been full time. So I haven't hit a time clock. I don't even know what that feels like anymore, to be able to do that, have that kind of time freedom. But I also serve, I work a lot in the Charlotte area.
Yes.
I'm the minister for the Muhammad Mosque 36. So I'm giving back in the community, always wanting to, help deposit into others what is being deposited into me. I love the title of this podcast, Future Leaders.
Yes.
And see, the challenge is a lot of us don't see ourselves as leaders. We should see ourselves as leaders, because there's an old saying, leader of one or leader of many. If you can't lead one, then you can't lead any. Who's that one? That one should be myself. If I'm the father of a household, then I have to lead. If I'm the mother, not necessarily, I may not lead the house if I have a godly man in the house. But we all have to learn leadership. You know, some of the, I don't care what we study, I can read 50, 11 books. Now, some of people from the South, you know, that's where you hear something 50, 11. I know some of us may not be from the South just looking at this. But we can read a whole lot of books, but the hardest person ever going to be the leader is ourselves. Can I lead myself to eat? Make a better choice with eating? Can I lead myself to go to the gym? And can I lead myself to read this or read that? Can I lead myself to grow spiritually? You see what I'm saying? So when you say future leaders, even the name of this podcast, some of us, if we're looking at this, we should see ourselves as a leader.
Exactly.
Now, don't get intoxicated with that, you know, but I'm saying we should see ourselves, because leader just means leading, you know, and what is it that we lead? We all got something that God put in every one of us, and how are we going to draw that out? That's what education is supposed to be, to draw out. It comes from the root word educare. You know, so if we drawing something out, then that which we drawing out, we can become a leader in that particular field of endeavor, a particular field or whatever. So this organization you're part of, I'm sure it's one of the leading ones in this area that's leading and helping others at the same time. So to all those that's looking at this, we see ourselves as a leader.
Yes.
And because we're making leadership decisions every single day, good or bad, you know, or positive or negative, empowering or disempowering. But we always have the ability to make decisions to put us in leadership position.
If I had to ask you, what is leadership in your view? What do you see as, what does that mean to you?
Well, when you break it down, the root word of that is lead. You know, so, you know, you could have in electrical engineering, you can have a lead wire. You know, don't mean there ain't other wires, but you got a lead there. So lead simply means being able to decide, being able to make certain motion, being able to be responsible. You know, response and react ain't the same thing. A lot of folks react, but very few respond. Respond takes some thinking. It takes some, you know, contemplation. So leading is not what we know, is what we do. There's a lot of folks that may have all kinds of different degrees, other different things. Even the business I work with, you can have a certain title and people automatically think, oh, that person got a title, so they must be a leader. That ain't necessarily the case. Because leading ain't what we do. Leading ain't what a title may have. It's really what we do.
Yes.
So leading is action. Taking action. You know, that's how I would answer that. And there's different levels of leadership. You know, as we start working with different people. One of the ones I like to study leadership on is, now I look at, again, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, a beautiful, in my opinion, a beautiful divine, and so many other people's opinion, divine servant and the divine person amongst us. But I look at the leadership book. I've done some study in the leadership from John Maxwell, and he's got a book he wrote called The 5 Levels of Leadership. And so in this whole book, he also got a book called, you know, Developing the Leader Within, coming from business leader standpoint or something along those lines. But I say that to say this, you know what, a lot of people that's leaders, there's different levels of it, because the lowest level of a leader is a positional leader. So you got a boss at work, and they got a position. You're gonna do what they tell you to do just because they the boss. It don't mean they really necessarily got your respect. You know, the military is based on positional leadership. You know, so many other folks, person may be a pastor, maybe this, so they may have a positional leader, but that's not the strongest form of position. That's the weakest form. After that comes permission, is the next level of leadership. That's because the relationships has been built, and because of the relationship that you've built with someone, you know what I'm saying? They allow you to lead them because of the relationship being built. And then after that, the third level of that is production. You know, what you've been able to help someone do. The production you've been able to help an organization do, or whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's a for-profit, you know, and then after that comes personhood. You know, and then last but not least is the pinnacle. That's what very few people get to when it's just based on just pure respect, you know, because of people that leave legacies. You know, and I can we can see examples of that scripturally, or we could just look at it even in the business world. But in terms of leading, it's not as difficult as we make it. We lead every day if we choose to.
And I'm glad you did talk about John Maxwell. I listen to him a little bit every day, and definitely he speaks of what leadership is: simply influence. It's this person that you know. Of course, we influence people in different forms, whether in your home or in business or whatever. But we definitely influence, and so that's something we, first of all, work within self, because the more you influence yourself, the better you become, the better you can be to others. So definitely that's something I am constantly working on, because if I'm speaking about leadership, I want to become better at a leader myself. And so I'm constantly, that's one of my goals, to listen a lot more in that space of leadership in order to become better. Yeah.
Let me share with you a quote. And this quote goes like this: "He who gives you the diameter of your knowledge prescribes for you the circumference of your activity."
Wow.
Again, he who gives you the diameter of your knowledge prescribes for you the circumference of your activity.
Wow.
If we look at simple simple geometry, you know, if you look at a circle, we know the diameter is that halfway. Is that full point across the circle. But whatever we get in that diameter of that from, see, the circumference is the full circle. So all the actions that we do, the things that we're doing, that's based on whatever diameter of knowledge that we have. So if you said you're reading, you're studying, we may read to become just better this or better that. We may even study something dealing with finance to be able to lead ourselves better with that. Just boils down to the better information that we're getting, then our circumference of activities change based on what it is we read. And that quote comes from the minister, by the way.
Yes.
And so we're just looking at that. This is why, again, I'm trying to feed myself, striving to feed myself, because of whatever diameter of knowledge that I'm getting, if I'm putting those things into place, then my circumference of my activities, my circle of activities should reflect what it is that I'm learning. Wow. And so we go into a lot of times the impoverished communities, we look at what the quality of knowledge is coming in. That's why we got to go in and share. Each one teach one.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? As we do that, we begin to see things change.
Wow, that's good stuff. I want you to speak to the hearts of to the individual who may be listening to this, and if you had to, we're at a place where, hey, I don't know my next step, or I don't really, how could you help them define what that looks like? Because I heard it from Bishop Jake said like this: what bothers you is what you've been called to help fix. But if you had to today was say, hey, what would be your steps to getting involved in whatever you have a heart to want to do, whether it's from business or even from the serving of the community, whatever?
And both of those should be synonymous, in my opinion, basically. But one thing I would say is that so many of us, man, it's a hustle and bustle times, man. People on the move, people moving around, people just boom, 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 boom. Everything is rush. Then we got all these distractions. We got social media, which can be used positively, but unfortunately there's studies now showing how it's impacted a lot of our children, a lot of our youth, because now they got to think that they got to be just like such and such. You got all these filters, got to look just like such and such. And then people showing you just the highlights of their life. Your life don't look like their life. You feel like you're just a miserable failure. You know, so I'm saying all that to say, you know, just like there's fasting that we do for our health, and then even if you're a spiritual person, there's fasting we do from spiritual. Sometimes we got to fast from some of these distractions that we have.
So true.
Because most people don't really take time to think. I mean, literally taking some time out to actually think or contemplate. Because most times we just on the move. Gotta go to work. Gotta be in traffic. Gotta do it. So I'm listening to this while I'm at work. I'm listening to this when I'm coming on over. We distracted. Just getting some time.
So true.
Talk to your creator, whatever name you may call the creator by. And we'll be surprised what happens if we just take some time to think. Think about the things we've naturally good at.
Yes.
You know, think about the things that maybe we even did in our past, and maybe we not do anymore that was good things that we did. If we're trying to find out what could be my gift, what could be my blessing, definitely we pray on it. We ask on that, ask the Creator to help us with that. But I would say take some time to absolutely think. You'd be surprised how many folks, again, don't think because we're in a very distraction times. So one of the first steps would be is isolate some time, take some time out, quiet time. It's gonna be tough now in the beginning. There's all kind of stuff gonna be running through your head. I remember one of the first times I did something like this, I was thinking, man, why did Bambi have to die? Now here, Bambi is a little deal. I don't know if you know about it. Your mind just started flying all different kind of places. You're like, but I thought he was comfortable. What they gonna do with anything? But if we could take some time out to just think for a moment, you know, we'd be surprised what that'll do. Taking time to intentionally think. Okay, so that's one of the first steps. You know, I begin to look at, limit my distractions, think about what I am really good at or what I've been blessed to do. So your question was in terms of, let me make sure I get your question so I got it right. Reframe that question again. Oh, give me that question.
If someone was looking to get involved or looking to find their lane to where they want to whether they want to serve in, whether it's business or even if they're looking to want to do something to serve in their community, how do they tap in to find that? So you said first, basically to get some time, quiet time to think on what is that you're good at and what is you have.
So you'll know what to
desire
bring
do.
to the table, and then if you're looking to serve in a community organization or something like that, unless it's just getting started, it probably already has a history. You can go look and find out what's the history of it. Does it align with your values and what you believe in? What's important to you.
Yes.
And if it aligns into that, and if you've already took some time to kind of think, you can see what you can bring to the table. There may already be programs in place that you can volunteer for. That's from that. And if it's something that's not there, maybe you're the person to be able to start it. Now, a lot of times people get scared. Oh man, this is where future leaders come from, because everybody that we look up to as a leader now, guess what? At some point in time, they weren't. They developed it over time.
Yes.
From a business standpoint, which you can do both. You can do serving the community and still do business things. I do both. At least I strive to do both. But again, finding out what is it that you want. And whatever you don't. One of the worst things we can do is do something for the money. People going to school right now, going to colleges, and they go graduate, and then they get out and they're in the field they didn't even want to be in. Because they let somebody else lead them into something, or they let desires for money lead them into it. I'm not saying you don't want to earn money. That ain't what I'm saying, but I'm just saying that can't be the only thing that drives us to go do whatever profession it is that we're in.
Exactly.
So on the business standpoint, what is it that you really want? What is it that you want to solve? Is there a problem you want to solve? Maybe it's a personal challenge. Maybe it's something you don't have enough or something, A, B, C, and D. But then get around the positive. People, what can you read? What can you watch? Who can you listen to? Or who can you associate with? You'd be surprised how those three things can just change a lot, when it comes to making certain decisions and becoming a future leader. Because the future is in the present. So what we're doing right now, the present leaders today and the present ones of us that's on the leadership journey becomes the future leaders based on what we're doing in the present.
Exactly. You hit on some good stuff. Made me think about how important it is to, I put it like this, I heard it like this too. It's great to be I would rather be a great number 2 than a poor number 1. And so it's okay not to always think that I got to go out there and start my own thing from scratch. So even when I started doing more stuff in the community, I didn't get out there and start my own mentoring program. I started off by supporting other people who were doing that. And as the doors opened, I was able to step in some of those leadership, headship roles. But it's from now I look at it, it would save a lot of energy by finding out who was doing what and how I add my supply to it. So I wanted to kind of just touch in on that, just how you value relationships and partnerships. If you can't just tap on either through some of your experiences, how valuable has that been in your life?
Well, first we got to look at, when you break that word down, look at what is relationship. And so I came down here in the car, drove down, which is a mode of transportation for me. Sometimes some of us, we're looking at this, we may fly somewhere, get on a plane and fly somewhere. So that's a mode of transportation for us. Some of us may take a cruise and get on a ship, which is another mode of transportation.
Yes.
Transport meaning going from one point to another.
Yes.
And so when we look at relationship, where is it taking us?
Wow.
Where are we going? Because a ship is in that. Relationship.
Wow.
So we could learn a lot by building relationships with people that's already doing what we want to do, or that's on the road to do what we want to do. If I want to go out there and start a business, if I want to go out there and purchase a home, now I can go out there and make all the mistakes, or I could leverage through a relationship with someone that has that experience already. I can learn through wisdom what they're doing and get a wise dome. Since wisdom is a result of our experience, a lot of folks got knowledge, but most people don't have wisdom.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Not the same thing. And so if I leverage that relationship, now I can be transported. I can move a little bit further. I can get from this point to that point based on the fact that I got a relationship with someone that's already got the knowledge of where it is I'm striving to go.
Wow.
And the biggest relationship, is relationship with God. But as we're looking at this, why would I want to go try to do something all over again that someone else can help me do it much sooner, much faster, based on a relationship? That's what I was saying is sometimes people get jobs or get different things. They say sometimes it ain't what you know, it's who you know. And that's true, but it's true in many different other areas. But if I got a relationship with someone that is a health guru, and now I've watched the way they eat, I've watched some of the things that they do, and that stuff begins to rub off on me. And so now my numbers may have looked some way when I went to the doctor. Now those numbers have moved into a much positive direction based on the relationship and what I did with that, acting on that person, the relations I have with that person, and following and letting some of that rub off on me. And now I didn't transport a little bit further based on that relationship. So it's always good to have a team. It's always good to be a team, mindset. My organization is Supreme Team Builders, because it ain't just about business. I build teams in all different things that I do.
That's good.
Because teams and relationships definitely go a long way. Definitely go a long way. One of the things we teach is that the Savior, promised luxury, money, good homes, and friendship in all walks of life. Because you want to have friends, you want to have relationships in all walks of life.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, sir.
Definitely. Well, definitely, I appreciate so much for, dropping so much good wisdom and knowledge, and got a lot of great experiences. Not only these flowery words, but they actually got some substance behind it because you have experienced these things. And, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. But if you can, what's something that you would like to lead the people with that can help them in their, towards striving? That they can say, well, this is a nugget that you live by. For instance, I stand on the scripture, Matthew 5:16, and that's my signature scripture. But what's some of the word of wisdom that you would like to impart into the people, saying, hey, this is something I think has been for me? What's something that you would say?
Everything of value got a difficulty factor attached to it. A lot of people don't want the difficulty, the trials, the tribulations we go through. Some people say you can't have the testimony unless you have the test, all these different things. But that's so true in all of that. So one of the things I would leave us with, whatever we're going to go pursue, is it of value? Everything of value got a difficulty factor attached. That little child is trying to learn how to walk. Trust me, it's difficult for that little child. My grandbaby recently, one of my grandchildren recently learned how to walk, and you seen them struggling, falling down. Well, remember, the baby is a little person. That's a person. It's just a little person. So whatever devils we do, we stumbling, we falling down. You know what I'm saying? We scooting or we crawling. We know we adults, and whatever devil we doing, because there's a difficulty factor. Now we're gonna run from the difficulty. We're gonna face the difficulty head on. So for the viewers that's looking at this, the biggest sign that we can overcome the difficulty factor is that we are sitting here, or we're standing here, or we're viewing this. Because out of all the millions and millions and whatever number it is of sperm that was emitted, only one was able to make it to that egg. And survive that hostile environment, and then be able to start the process of that one cell of life coming into place, and the rotation of that one cell of life in the uterus, in the womb. But that's a big example of overcoming difficulty. That salmon that goes swims upstream so it can go spawn every single year, and the bears out there waiting for them like, we waiting on these jokes. We're gonna eat these jokes when they come up. That's all difficulty. So I would leave with everyone. Everything in value has a difficulty factor attached. Whatever it is we're gonna do. The business I built, it's a little over 30 million has been paid to my personal organization that I have in many different parts of the country. But that all has a difficulty factor attached to it, and still has. Serving in the ministry has a difficulty factor attached to it. And but everything of value. Being a father, being a parent. If it's a mother's looking at this, being a mother. Hey, being a child. We're looking at it from our standpoint, but our children know that. To live in this day and time, everything of value has a difficulty factor attached to it. Don't run from the difficulty. Learn to get the mental strength, emotional strength, spiritual strength to run to and through the difficulty, but not from it, because struggle is ordained. We were all made with the ability to be able to struggle, because in the struggle and overcoming that struggle is strength to get us ready for the next struggle.
Wow, that's goodly put. If you can, if anyone want to connect with you, what's ways how they can be able to connect?
They can reach me via social media. I just mentioned about social media again. It could be used so much positive. Well, the social media, Corey Muhammad, Corey. Well, you know what? It's probably a lot of Corey Muhammads, but Corey Muhammad on social media, Muhammad. Or, plain and simple, if a person just hit me up on email, first name, last name, Corey Muhammad, Corey. muhammad@gmail.com.
Okay.
I'm on the gram as well. I just don't remember. I think it's Fortunate You is my. I don't remember the gram, but anyway, those are the ways that people can reach me.
Okay, we'll make sure we put it in
or if
the
they
chat.
reached out to you, you know what I'm saying? We go way back, so we'll
My
catch you up
guy,
for certain.
my guy. Well, we make sure we keep it in the comments and also put your information in there. But definitely, I want to thank you so much for giving us the time to be able to get caught up and kind of hear a little bit about your thoughts. Because, like I say, for me personally, it has made a major part in who I am today. Through the person for one being an example of not only just speaking good words, but you was a good demonstration. You was a big brother. Always, I can trust you with you. Sometimes you chewed me out a little bit on some things that I was doing wrong, but you did it in love. You told me the things I needed to hear, not what I wanted to hear. But you was always in my corner to help me become a better man.
Hey, proud of you, brother. Proud of what you're doing with future leaders, man. Future leaders, and having all of us come on. I'm looking forward to checking out other episodes so I can continue to grow, man, and be inspired by what you're doing. Proud of you, man. Keep up the good work.
No doubt. Well, we want to thank y'all again for checking out and hanging with us on another edition of Future Leaders. Y'all go out and have a phenomenal day and do great work and continue becoming the future leader that you want to strive and become. Be great.